It's Conduit News Radio with Paul Harrell.
Program. We have Mr. Greg Bell is on the line. Greg is a pharmacist, and he lives in District 16. Now, Greg, tell me again specifically where you live. I know it's not Russellville.
No, sir. I live in a little town called Hector. It's about 20 miles north of Russellville.
Okay.
About 500 people population.
Okay, great. So you are, then at 500 people, that is a small rural town for sure. And I met you.
Yes.
I had the privilege of meeting you down there at the pharmacy rally yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about all that?
I'm excited about everything going on down there, and I really appreciate the hard work that the legislators are putting into it and supporting us, and it sounded good to me.
Yeah. And I think that was a lot of people are just happy that there's people at least acknowledging that there is an issue.
Exactly.
Greg,
yeah.
can
we've been
go ahead.
We've been trying to get something done on this for years. I'm sorry I kind of cut you off, but it's good to finally have a voice in legislature and know that somebody is working for us. That's good to know.
So can you just describe the problem with PBMs, CVS Caremark, and specifically you being a pharmacist in a town of 500 people? How has that affected you?
Well, let me start with the problem with CVS Caremark specifically. At the beginning of the year, January 1, they reduced reimbursements by a larger amount than we normally see. There are times we expect some changes in reimbursement rates. Those come as business goes. But this year it was a lot more predatory than in previous years. Shortly after the price changes, of course, we immediately realized a lot of prescriptions are reimbursing below our actual costs. And that's happened before, but if a person had 3 prescriptions, 2 of them were making money on and 1 of them were not, it usually worked out. The cuts were so severe this time that it was, we were having to make a choice of filling prescriptions for this patient or not.
Now, Greg, let me stop you. When you say you guys lose money on it, this is just the cost of getting the drug there and selling it. This doesn't take into effect overhead or labor costs. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct. Yes. That gets into another topic, which is the cost of dispensing a drug, and that's your employees, your electric bill, your overhead. Mm-hmm. That's another figure altogether. It ranges anywhere from $10 to $12 a prescription. So we were losing that also. And then the effect then on a pharmacy such as mine, the nearest other pharmacy is 10 miles away in a little town called Dover. I serve patients probably in about a 30-mile radius, kind of like the example Scott gave yesterday of a patient that was epileptic that the pharmacist had to choose whether to let that guy go without his medicine or lose money. That's the position we're in now, mm-hmm. And it's tough.
Wow. So we have the attention. Everything seems to be going forward. I did point out, though, that not taking care of this in a fiscal session when the legislature already has power, and now they're going to say, well, we're going to do a special session if we can agree upon the language.
Yes.
What's that language going to be? I'm told that the governor had a closed-door meeting with CVS 2 days ago, and pharmacists were talking about it. And so, I think it was good that the Pharmacy Association came out and supported Senator Caldwell's bill, because that seems to be the one that's going to give the insurance department the authority as well as the transparency that you guys want.
Right.
But from what I can tell, CVS does not want that transparency. They don't want you to really, and this is my words, but they don't want the public to know what a giant scam this is.
Yeah, you coined it pretty accurately there, Paul. Of course, they don't want the public to know. There would be outrage. against them. But I don't. They've been able to keep it under a lid for years. It won't surprise me if they have the power to keep it covered. But we've got more momentum now than we've ever had. So I just got to hope that we can overcome it this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously I know they want this they're going to put an emergency clause on this, which is it's a very, very common thing that happens, but it means once it's in the law, it goes into effect immediately. And you guys need this, because I've talked to folks who say that there are pharmacies that will be out of business by the end of the year if this PBM situation is not remedied. Is that true?
It is true. And, one point that Scott Pace made yesterday was not only did they drop the prices, but shortly after they did that, then they started sending these letters out trying to buy pharmacies. And their intention is to devalue the pharmacy by making them less profitable. Therefore, it gives them the opportunity to basically just save a pharmacy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And get it for less than what it's actually worth. And we've got letters that have been sent to pharmacies that we've never received letters from CVS in the past. So it's pretty good evidence to me that that's their intention, is to drive competition out.
So basically, a small town like Hector, 500 people, CVS eventually wants to have a pharmacy there. I mean, is that essentially what you think they want to do?
I doubt if they want to have a pharmacy at Hector. No, I've not received the letter. It would be bigger stores than mine, but they wouldn't care if, of course, they provide mail order service, and I don't know. CVS Caremark is probably involved in 40 to 50% of my business, which is a huge number. So, if we can't sustain business at the rates that what they've got, then my clients will have to go elsewhere. Yeah, and that they would stand a chance of reaping some of that business, whether they bought me or not.
So there's a clear divide between the Arkansas Pharmacist Association and what I will call big pharma, and so that would be CVS, Caremark, and that sort of situation. You can track the money. And so they have a lot of money, Big Pharma does, in general, to give to a lot of politicians' campaigns and races. Now, specifically in District 16, which you live in, there's a special election right now going on. Runoff is going to be March 13th. And the two candidates, you have one candidate, Breanne Davis, that has taken Big Pharma money in the form of several, DBH consulting donations. Their client is CVS and everything else. It's very transparent. You can see that. Then you have Bob Bailey, who hasn't taken it. So has that – I just want to ask you, if you don't mind, have you thought about who you're supporting, and does that have anything to do with it?
I am supporting Bob for multiple reasons. Bob and I have been friends for a long time. I know Bob. I know his character. I know what he's going to bring to the table when he gets down there. In addition to all of that, yes, that does factor into my decision. If anybody takes money from Big Pharma, then they're no friend of mine as a pharmacist. And I know Breanne. I've got a friend of mine that supports her, and he says he thinks she's not going to be influenced by that. I don't understand how you can take money from somebody and not be influenced by it.
That's
just my opinion.
I think that's common sense, you never know. There are some people who have different interests as well, in maybe future endeavors and that sort of thing. That might influence why they support one candidate or the other. Maybe, for some, it's not just about pharmacy. Maybe it could be about something else, and that's kind of what I'm told. But we'll have to wait and see. Folks, we're talking with Greg Bell. He is a pharmacist from Hector, that's in District 16, and it was great to meet him the other day. Now, Greg, were you at the pharmacist went down there for the hearing earlier, or maybe last month or earlier this month? Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. It was a little earlier, and I had to work that day. I didn't make it that day.
Okay. Because I was going to ask you, was the turnout bigger this time or last time? Because I would like to know. I have a feeling that it was bigger this last time than it was the first time.
Yeah, my understanding is that we had a much bigger turnout, and we had a good turnout the time before.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there was a bigger response this last time.
Yeah, and you had a ton of legislators who were behind you, and they're hopefully, I really hope they do something to get this done because and here's the thing, Greg, I'm not for excess regulation. And this is kind of Ron Caldwell said right now there is no regulation on this at all.
That's exactly right. Yeah, he spoke as a Republican. He generally liked less government oversight, but in this case, there's zero oversight, and that's exactly right. And they're the only player in the medical field that's not regulated.
Yeah.
So that's their advantage.
Well, this is an observation that I kind of thought about yesterday in terms of if you look at Arkansas Works and you look at taxpayer money going to Blue Cross Blue Shield to fund Arkansas Works, and then that money is being used to try to put pharmacists out of business. That this is a form of socialism, right?
Right.
Or if you look at how you could even say fascism if you look at how the government is still allowing the companies to at least put out the facade that they're private, but they're being controlled by government regulations. And now here we, the people, okay, as a conservative, okay, we're now in this quasi-socialistic system, and we're crying out for more regulations. We're crying to the government for more regulations to try to fix a problem that was caused by the government in the first place. And I think that doesn't need to be lost here. And, I think the movement is necessary. The correction is necessary. But the reason we're here is because big business and government brought us to this point.
Created it. Yeah, that's right. And as I understand, this Arkansas Works, I think CVS Caremark may have had a hand in writing that policy too.
Yeah,
I'm sure they had it tweaked the way they wanted it tweaked.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely have. Hey, Greg, I appreciate you coming on the program. It was great to meet you. I hope to meet more pharmacists and more people who want to come on the program. And anytime you need anything, just let us know, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Paul, I appreciate meeting you. I appreciate your work, man. Thank you for the opportunity to come on.
Thank you. Mr. Greg Bell, everybody. All right, folks, good morning to you. We're going to take a break. We're going to be back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.